Did you know that the Indianapolis Children's Choir has toured throughout the U.S. and around the world, singing on 5 continents for over 25 years? Touring is never mandatory, but it is a memorable experience for those singers who participate.
I've toured to Orlando, Mexico, Guatemala, Hawaii, Washington, D.C., New York, and Boston.
Or to Boston, Philadelphia, and New York.
I've toured to Orlando, Hawaii, New York City, Boston, and Washington, D.C.
Hawaii and on an East Coast tour with ICC.
I've been on tour to Alaska and Contourai, Miami for ACDA and CA, Guatemala and Mexico with CA, Australia and New Zealand with IYC, and this summer I'm going to New York City with IYC.
In Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, and Washington, D.C.
Guatemala and Mexico, Australia and New Zealand, and this summer I'm going to New York City.
I've been to New York, Miami, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand.
I've toured to New York City with the Columbus, Indiana Children's Choir, and again to New York City and to Australia with the Indianapolis Youth Chorale.
I've been to tour to Italy, Mexico, Guatemala, Hawaii, Australia, New Zealand, and this summer I'm going to New York.
I've been to Washington, D.C., Boston, and New York, and New York was definitely my favorite.
For the 25th anniversary tour, I had the opportunity to go to New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. And this coming year, I get the opportunity to go to Spain.
I've been on tour to Washington, D.C., New York City, Boston, and Chicago.
I'm going on tour to the World Choir Games in Cincinnati. Woo!